You guys ready to do this? All right, let's go. It takes more than guts to be a gangster. It takes good ideas. And I hope these ideas help you. Hey, what's up, guys? This is GangsterKT. First off, a huge shout out to all those who watched my first YouTube video ever, Glock Watch. Really appreciate Dorky Dad and him featuring me on his video. Got a chance to talk to him for a little bit. Just an absolute great guy. And for those who haven't seen him, I'd encourage you to check him out because he has some of the best content out there. So thanks again to him, and just really appreciate all the support that I got on that first video. It's been pretty amazing to see, and this is just such a great community, and I hope I can continue to be a part of that. So let's get into the second video, focused on mob war defense, fortifying your territory. So the intent of this video is to give you guys some good tips and tricks to have a sneaky war wins. I usually get about 4 to 5 wins per war, depends on our opponent, obviously. But these tips have really helped me since I've been into war. So let's get going on it. So first of all, always want to be upfront about the content. If you're in Platinum 4 or high-end Platinum 3 and more or higher, this is probably going to be a lot of things that you already know or are pretty obvious to you. Hopefully you still get something out of the video, but it's really intended more for the masses in Platinum 3 below who are looking to improve their defense without, putting in any extra investment beyond what they already have. So getting into my approach to my war defense teams and how I go about that. So first off, variety is the spice of war defense. So there's a lot of canned defenses out there. A lot of times they're the best defense, but those also have canned counters. So I try and make people think and see a fight that they haven't seen before, some dynamics they aren't expecting, again, to get that one sneaky extra win. Number two is use your attack knowledge to optimize your defense. Think about the counters that you use when you're attacking someone. What dynamics are important to that, and is there a character you could throw on there without weakening your offense or teams you want to really impact those dynamics and get more RNG in that fight? Number three, rely on the art of deception. I'll give examples of this later, but some people just don't pay attention. They might see a couple characters on the team, think it's the full team, and didn't notice that you snuck that M in there that's going to give you the speed advantage in a mirror match. So I actually see that happen quite a bit. Not sure if they don't notice or just don't care, but that actually gets me quite a few wins. So next thing I think of, unless you're going super heavy on defense, like you're doing that for your lines for armory or something, don't put so much meta into your defense that it really hampers your offense. Offense is still most important. Trying to get to that full clear. Better defense will definitely slow that down, but it does need to be a balance again, unless you're really gung-ho defending armory or something along those lines. Number five, put the brand new teams on defense. When a team first comes out, the counters to them are not known. A lot of people will fumble through them, and you also probably don't know how to most effectively use them on offense. So I'd say that lasts about 2 to 3 weeks, but I always put brand new teams on defense for a little bit. Next rule, it's not all about just the TCP numbers for your defense. I think a great example of that we'll cover in a minute is Heroes for Hire. You can take out a 200k Iron Fist and put in a much smaller auto-taunting tank like Red Guardian or Drax and get a lot better results with that. So TCP is obviously important for your guys, and you want that defense to look as big as possible, but that's not where the main focus should be. And the last rule, and this is something that I think is pretty important, if you are one of those people that helps your alliance and just fully specializes in a war defensive team, and we have a couple of those in our alliance, make sure to brag about it. You deserve that. I think in war, a lot of the credits on the MVP, on the big damage numbers, and that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of important. But the guys that are just focusing on their war defense to really help your alliance probably deserve those MVPs a lot of time. I know we have one guy in our alliance specifically that has a huge account and just goes all defense to help us guard armory, and he should probably get the MVP most of the time and never does. So brag about your war defense. You deserve it. It's the only way to get credit, and let them know what you got. So getting into some examples of those dynamics I just discussed. The first one is Heroes for Hire. So I think with them, you really want to take out Iron Fist, excuse me, and use either an auto-taunting tank, Miles, or Captain America. So the auto-taunting tank, Red Guardian or Drax, Kingpin potentially, but I sure wouldn't use him here. I'd keep him with Underworld. He helps the Dark Hunter and the Weapon X counters by requiring the enemies to attack him first. He'll mess up Morbius's ultimate. He'll potentially not let Red Guardian ability block Misty Knight. So just some good solutions there. I personally think the next one is more important, and that's what I use because I like the taunting tanks elsewhere. But it is a valuable defense trick that a lot of people use. Next one is Miles, again replacing Iron Fist, and this really helps against the Dark Hunters with him starting in stealth. It doesn't allow Morbius to use his ult, getting the trauma and heal block on all the different characters. And so definitely ways to beat this, but the best way to beat it involves changing up some ISOs on characters. Those who study offense will know it, but those who do not study as much can really get thrown off on this. And if you had 24 defenses with heroes for hires like that on your alliance, I think it could really get you some wins and throw people off. The last one's a newer tip, putting Captain America in that place. When he starts out, he gives the whole team the deflex, and then that can a lot of times allow them to resist Morbius's blind, or I think it's from Morbius, but whoever puts that out there, giving the heroes for hire a lot of punch initially and not allowing the Dark Hunters to dodge that. So I think it's a very valuable trick. The only thing is right now I do keep Captain America with the Rebirth team because they're new. So I'm personally not doing that, but I think especially at the higher levels and as people get more comfortable with the Rebirth, that will be a really good idea. So next trick I want to cover is American Chavez for speed for adjacent characters and the ability to really change dynamics of a match. So one place I see that a lot is with the Darkhold team. People will do that. I know I put mine as I'll show my teams at the end of this video between Wong and between Morgan. And again, if people aren't expecting it, if they just do a mirror match, that can really get you a higher % chance of getting that win. I've also seen that used with Eternals, and especially, a few months back, I saw that much more prevalent. But again, just changes that speed, gives something people they aren't expecting, and can really throw off people who don't study these counters and exactly how to do them. Third tip, and this one is more commonly used, but putting Emma with Unlimited. Again, I all the time see people use a full unlimited team against that and have to cancel, or I see people taking Cable and have to cancel, and I'm not sure if they just didn't notice that I had unlimited there, or if they don't fully understand that Emma reduces speed by 10% for opponents, where Cable gives a 5% speed increase. So Emma will outpower Cable there. And just allows the unlimited to go first in the most common counter, which is the mirror match. So it's something I recommend for War. It's something I do for War, but actually not for Crucible. I think the full team in Crucible is better right now, especially with the Room 4 bonus. But in War defense, Emma with unlimited is pretty slick. So a few more examples here. The first one, and I'm going to admit up front, I'm not sure if this is a great idea or not, but because I have Chavez with my Darkhold, I need someone to replace her on Young Avengers. So I thought through, like I was saying, what do I use against Young Avengers? And most of the time I use A-Force Doom, and so I try to get creative. What character has a chance of stopping Doom? And while I'm not sure if it fully works or not, I thought of Kestrel, and she's going to make sure that Doombots don't get summoned and take those out. And then I think her also can really mess things up if it crits on the right character and you have a big Kestrel. And then her pings when they have defense down can also really change dynamics and cause things to happen unexpected. So again, not positive that's a great idea. It's something I'm trying right now. I have gotten a win with that team about half the wars since I've been trying it, and hope it works, but it does cause a hit on your offense not being able to use them with the Secret Avenger, or use Kestrel, excuse me, with the Secret Avenger team. So that is something to keep in mind. A next tip here is be smart with Dormammu, and I still am learning how to try and really optimize that. But I do see a lot of people that take some older big characters, maybe they took into DD5, and try and pair them with Dormammu. And why it definitely makes those characters stronger, such as like an Invisible Woman, characters like that. I think overall it's much better to put Dormammu with more strength, just making those counters that much harder and making your opponents waste their bigger teams to take that down. So next tip, if you need an extra war defense team and don't have an obviously one you want to use, just throw some of your 5 highest TCP tunes on there that you don't use elsewhere, and a lot of times that'll draw a strong response. So you'll see an example of that when I go through my war defense teams. I'm amazed how often teams just really overpower that room, and I take that as a win, even though I normally lose the match. So last tip that I have here is use teams that induce R&D, excuse me. The best example of that I can give is the Axemen. So they're actually my weakest war defense team probably, but the most common match against them is the Axeman mirror match. And that match can go south poorly quickly because of Beast's dynamics of gaining speed when members get below health, and then being able to use the special to remove debuffs and heal back up. So that match again can go south very quickly. And so even though they aren't that meta anymore, I still have my Axemen on defense. One other thing I want to point out here, we have Kestrel, we have Dormammu, and we have the Axemen. So you're probably wondering what that Axemen picture is. And that's the element of surprise I'm talking about that you need to incorporate on your defense. All right, so getting into my war defenses, a lot of things I've been talking about in the video, but just wanted to show you guys. Room 1 is Rebirth, new team. I think always good to have on D for a week or a couple weeks. Room number 2 is Hero Asgard. I'm looking for a replacement for Heimdall there that won't hurt me in other places. If I find one of those, I will let you guys know, but right now I do just use straight up Hero Asgards. Room 3 is the Heroes for Hire with Miles instead of Iron Fist that I mentioned. Really throws people off with the Dark Hunters matchup. Room number 4 is Axemen. That's probably my weakest defensive team. I could definitely put a stronger team there, but people commonly use the mirror match, and that mirror match has a lot of RNG with Beast's abilities and his passive giving speed when they're go below a certain amount of health. So I like to keep that on there for a few sneaky wins. Room 5 is Death Seed. No great reason for that. Hoping I can maybe find something creative that would eliminate the Infinity Watch counter, but with Infinity Watch's safeguard and immunity, I think that's unlikely. That match can go south, so do occasionally get a win, but overall Infinity Watch can counter that pretty easily. Room 6, I use Chavez elsewhere, like I mentioned earlier, so I put in Kestrel there. It makes the offensive team a lot weaker, so not sure if that's a great idea, but it has gotten me a win about half the wars, and I think she can change up that match quite a bit with her pings, with her ult, doing crazy damage when it crits, and if people use Doom, canceling out those Doom bots. So might change that down the road, but right now I'm like trying out that team. Room 7 is where I was talking about just taking some of your higher TCP characters you aren't using elsewhere and throwing them on defense. Now, new warriors aren't the best example of that because they are still pretty useful in other places. I put Loki in there. He's not that big, but just to throw off the speed. But overall, it's just to have a 1.1 million TCP team there. It usually gets a much bigger response than is warranted. A lot of times people use Eternal New Warriors to counter that, and even though I obviously lose that match, I do consider it a win. Room number 8 is the Unlimited team with Emma instead of Phantom X. Like I mentioned, people either don't notice she's there or they don't understand the speed of her and Cable, how that works. But that room actually gets me defensive wins pretty often. One time though, and normally then people get it and figure out how to beat it, which is obviously using Emma and Cable if you want to do the mirror match there. Room 9 is the Darkhold, where I have Chavez. Not positive that's the best place to put her, but that's what's worked best for me in the testing. You can still mirror match this, but it's a little tougher. A Dormhold will still take this fairly easily, but I do like having Chavez with my Darkhold. Room 10 is pretty interesting. It might be too much power in one room, but it usually does me pretty well. I get some defensive wins on it, or it warrants someone using the Gamma, which I also consider a win. So one secret, and please don't tell my future war opponents this, but this team is actually very easily countered with huge punch ups from Underworld. So I have a video of that on my YouTube channel. There's no sound or explanation. I was more just testing out how to upload videos and screen recordings, that kind of thing. But you can see how I did that if you want to. Shouldn't share this, but the key to that match and where most people use mistakes, you have to focus down Icarus first. Make sure he gets that trauma from Mr. Negative at the start of the battle, and then just hit him only until you take him out. So most people that I see go after that with Underworld, they will actually go after Spider Weaver first. And why that makes sense and is valuable in Crucible, obviously, it's actually a mistake for this matchup. Icarus's ult will obviously 2-tap with all the summons on the field and flipping all the buffs, and once he gets his ult off, that match is instantly over, whereas Spider Weaver's not very effective on ward defense against Underworld. With all their counters and with all the summons, they peel those charges off almost instantly, so when I'm doing that match myself and I'm using Underworld on offense, I just focus down Icarus, Green Goblin will take out Dormammu, and the rest is history. So moving on. So guys, thanks for watching my second ever Marvel Strike Force video. I'm trying to do things a little differently than what a lot of the other great CCs out there do, just to provide a unique perspective and something new for you guys. So as always, I give you my word that this is the best advice I have. All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Peace.